Alright, welcome to round one, game two of our Play and Explain of my Neoform Showcase Challenge run. We're in game two. As you can see here, we have sideboarded quite a bit. So what I like to do, first of all, like for a combo deck, especially for a combo deck that's very linear like this, you want to think about what are their main axes of interaction and how to counter it. And we want to do it as efficiently as possible. So for Dredge, I've seen 2 to 3 Thought Seizes as a norm. I've also seen 1 to 2 Pithing Needle, which is really annoying because otherwise Artifact Hate is not something that we want to bring in again, bring answers to against Dredge. So I think that like in general, like against combo decks, the hate pieces that are attacking them on a different axis than what you're otherwise attacking them from is the most powerful. For example, in Legacy, Ruck Delver sometimes plays Null Rod, and you don't really want artifact destruction against Null Rod if you're Storm for against Ruck Delver. Otherwise, if you're Storm, for example. So here we set it out the Veil Summers as well as the Metamorphose here, and my thinking is that on the play we can use the Veil Summer and gain 1 card from a turn one Thought Seize, which I would assume that Dredge players will weigh heavily towards keeping, rather than like a turn three, turn four Goldfish hand. Although you should be keeping those too. Or, whereas if you're on the draw, the Veil Summer will do nothing because I think that if they keep a hand on the basis of the Thoughtseize, they're always just gonna fire it off in turn one, and they don't Dredge doesn't draw cards after turn one most likely. So I'd rather have the Land Sanctity on the draw. On the play, I would have Veil Summer. And also took out 1 Metamorphosis and brought in 2 Dissenter's Deliverance. This is to respect the Pithing Needle. Now, you might think that's like really narrow, but I'm thinking of this matchup as very favored, and I just want to covering the most efficient way the axes that they are attacking us, they could be attacking us from. And if in game two, for example, they mill like 30, 40 cards and we don't see any Pithing Needles, then I might take out the Dissenters. But keep in mind the Dissenters is a green and has a cycling effect. So the cost of running a Dissenter's Deliverance is actually pretty low. So let's see here. So we have a potential turn one. This hand is actually really good, and here's why. So we have the Allosaurus Rider, we have the 2 green cards, we have the Evolution. We could possibly turn one by drawing a Simian Spirit Guide, which is nice because Dredge is trying to race you some of the times post board. And also, we have the answer to a potential turn one Pithing Needle, which is good. So, and Neoform, I think, is a good draw on turn two as well. Now, this is a turn three kill on the draw against Dredge, which is pretty slow, but it's like about the turn that's like barely acceptable in my opinion against Dredge. If it's like a turn four or like a turn three that's uncertain, like I wouldn't keep, but I think this is like keep. Note that like against most matchups, because you're the proactive deck and because you're the one asking demanding questions and demanding answers from the other deck will dilute their plan A, and games in post board games are going to be generally slower. So I think this is acceptable. Okay, so we did keep. Let's see what they do here. So they went on 6 Thoughtseize. Yeah. So unfortunately, we have our Allosaurus Rider taken, which is fine. Just as a side note, I think, generally speaking, here I would take the Allosaurus Rider if the Neoform player has it, then the Neoform, and then the Evolution. You always kind of want to strand them with the worst version of both. I know it's like kind of intuitive and easy when you think about it, but a lot of people I think have made that mistake against me. For example, if you leave them the Summoner's Pact and not an Allosaurus Rider, then that's like maybe like 1 in 5 chance that the Neoform player is going to self-destruct because they don't draw their life gain and they're going to fizzle. So I think you always want to take this first, and then Neoform. Neoform is like obviously a turn faster. So now our hand is significantly worse, but it is what it is. Let's see what we do here. Well, obviously as a luck sack, and I draw this anyways, which is fine. Nothing to do here. I think we're just going to keep making our land drop and try to kill on turn three. Okay, so it's a cathartic. Wow, they're not getting a stomping ground, which is interesting. Okay, so so this is what I mean. Like I think they kept a six that is like strictly Thoughtseize, which honestly, like I'd rather face one Thoughtseize no pressure hand than like a multi five or multi four potential turn three, turn four goldfish. So I don't know what they're on, but if they don't have cathartic or like even a straight corn, like and just has the one Thoughtseize, I would probably mulligan that, but that's just me. Okay, so we're just gonna keep making our land drop. Everything's good. Our life total's not getting pressured. Okay, that's interesting. Okay. So they kept a pretty weak hand, in my opinion. Okay. So now we're going to just go for it here. Note that we have to Summoner's Pact, so we need to pay the 4 mana tax next upkeep if there is a next turn. However, we can mitigate this by like passing with one Smearing Spirit Guide and paying for the pact. And as I said, they're still unlikely to be able to beat a 7/7 Flying Lifelinker. Alright, let's go. So one thing like I think I see a lot of like newer Neoform players do is like they think the deck is a meme and you want to like kill on the spot right away. Like I'm almost opposite now. Like after playing like maybe like 800 900 matches, I'm trying to like think of ways that I can lose and try to mitigate that because once you get in a Brand, shit it in on turn one, two, three, like you're gonna win somehow. So that the actionable advice is stop after each draw 7 and think about the ways that it can go wrong and whether you should keep going or not. Because I think the go no go decision points are some of the most interesting and the hardest decisions here. So on the first draw 7, we have two shoals, which is great. We don't have a fodder for the show, but we have like 4 Summoner's Pact, 4 Rider, excluding these 4 Chancellor, 2 Autochthon Worm. So I feel like we're like good to go. It's worth just trying to kill. Also, like note that we have the Wild Counter from the Simian Spirit Guide for the Children Corliss, and that's a draw 14. So our floor is very high. I would just prefer like to keep going. Alright, so we have the Summoner's Pact here. We have the Autochthon Worm as well. Note that we are 6 cards above the next number divisible by 7, which is 28. So what I'm watching for here is I want to make sure that I can draw the entire deck or close to it. And the most commonly, the constraint is 1 life and 2 then mana. Laboratory Maniac is generally not a constraint because if you have the 3 mana, you can always play the Allosaurus Rider and Eldritch Evolution into the Laboratory Maniac. As you can see here, it's X plus 2 or less, whereas Neoform has to be exactly X plus 1. So you can actually evolve a Grizzlebrand or Allosaurus Rider into a Laboratory Maniac. So I think we're just going to keep gaining here. I think I'd probably start like thinning the library now because I think that like we're almost a lock to win with these 2 shoals and 1 Children Corliss. But the one way that we can lose is if we're stranded with like all the Simian Spirit Guides at the bottom 3, for example. Keep in mind that we have like Manamorphose to also like dig deeper into the deck and effectively shrink it as well. But I would I would probably just like aggressively shrink the deck right now. I don't, which is fine. We're gonna win most of these times, anyways. So there's the second Simian Spirit Guide. We're looking for 3, and then like it's eventually going to be an assured victory here. So we have 3 Summoners Pact here. We're just gonna keep going. Okay, there's the gain 15, which we'll do. Keep in mind that we don't have 3 mana for the Simian Spirit Guide right now, but we can just like pitch the Simian Spirit Guide and pay for the pact next turn even. So we're gonna win this game regardless. So we have 3 mana art now. So we're just gonna do this. Yeah, so we're gonna thin the deck now, which is I think pretty wrong and loose, but it is what it is. Right? Now the library is 4 cards deep, and the Manamorphose should get me to where I need to go. And voila. So this is round 1. We beat Dredge 2-0, and we're going to round 2 shortly in the next video. Thanks and bye-bye.